Greetings, friends. My name is Richard.
And I'm Jinseni.
And recently, an interview took place between Democratic presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders and rapper Cardi B. Now, Bernie Sanders, in that interview, in that sit down, said that Cardi B would make a great politician. Why? Because she understands the streets. She understands where she grew up, the poverty she had to go through to get to where she was at right now. And Cardi B mentioned that she would make a great politician. She wants to be a politician, rather. And it's very interesting because she said also that she does not agree all the time with government, right? Very interesting, friends, as we cover this. Now, Jenseni, is Cardi B the only rapper who wants to run for office or even is throwing her support, her endorsements behind politicians?
No, she's not the only one. There are various musicians that show great interest in politics. In fact, recently, Akon, the musician, he said that he would run as Kanye West's vice president if Kanye would run for the 2024 elections. And of course, millennials are showing great interest as well. Ariana Grande, as well as Willow Smith, have shown great support for Bernie Sanders. So it's many young and old.
And of course, even Scarface from the Ghetto Boys, friends, he ran for city councilman a few months back. And of course, you have T.I., the rapper, very influential rapper, throwing his support behind Bernie Sanders, and even Donald Glover as well, a musician throwing his support behind Andrew Yang. So again, many other rappers and musicians.
Yes, in fact, we took this topic to the university to get the perspectives and thoughts of the youth. So take a listen to what they had to say on this issue.
Okay, so Autumn, how much influence do you think celebrities, specifically musicians, have over public opinion?
They have a lot of influence, actually, especially with the younger generations, because a lot of them look up to them and idolize them.
I think they have a ton of influence. I mean, people look up to these people, they idolize them, and I mean, anything, they say goes half the time. It can be, they can get really controversial with things that like end up happening, and, people look into their backstories and stuff and are like, all right, I don't trust you anymore. But I mean, up until something like major scandalous happens, like people are, gonna follow them through and through.
I think that they actually have a lot more opinion than like people think, because a lot of like the younger kids that are now being able to vote, like I just turned 18, so I'm able to now. It's just that like they're hip, they're popular. And especially like with the fact that Kanye was like, I'm gonna run in 2020, it's just, I think that they're just kind of like another outlet that people see could possibly, be like a candidate,
Now, recently, Cardi B said in a tweet, I think I want to be a politician. I really love government, even though I don't agree with government. She has also gotten encouragement from Bernie Sanders, and she also shows support for him as well. What are your thoughts on Cardi B wanting to run for office?
I think she's a really loud person. She's not afraid to put her opinion out there, which I mean is good. I don't personally know like how great she would do in office, but just because, like you said, she's connected with like a lot of people in general, I feel like it'd be pretty good. Just see a different face out there. Female president. Let's go.
Governor. So, do you think that Cardi B would be good to run for any type of office in the government?
Honestly, I think it would depend on what her views were and like, I don't know, like her politics behind like what she's saying, but if Trump could win office, I feel like anybody could win office. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, she is one of those controversial figures that does have a lot of scandalous things in her past and isn't a great person. So I understand maybe where she's coming from of wanting to have, the influence that she knows she has over the people that follow her. But at the same time, she could educate herself in government, sure. But I don't think that it's a smart idea for her herself to run for a political position. Sure, she can vouch for Bernie and, let that be, who she stands for, but I don't think she needs to take a place in government.
Okay. Now, she's not the only one, of course, to do this. There's other celebrities and musicians. You have Kanye West. He has mentioned that he wanted to run for president. Akon said he would be his vice president.
I definitely remember when, when Kanye put out there that he was going to be, running. And I'm like, okay, like, I get it. But at the same time, like, now he's siding with Trump. And I'm like, but you're black. What are you doing? He literally is, like, so opposing against people of color. I can see where it's beneficial for artists to support political candidates. And I mean, helps them get a following. And I definitely think the people that you said right there, like, that is Bernie's demographic, is like people who follow Ariana Grande or Will Smith, stuff like that. So, yeah.
But why do you think musicians even want to get into politics today?
I guess maybe, I hate to say power. I really do, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
But now, do you think that you will be held accountable and even will be judged by God by voting for that individual, even though you didn't necessarily make that personal decision?
That's interesting. I haven't really thought about the accountability that God would hold us to. But honestly, I mean, yeah, I think in a sense, I mean, if you weren't doing your research beforehand and you voted in someone who, is supposed to be representing you and your beliefs, and you didn't look into, what all of their policies were and their actual positions on things, and they go and do things that you really didn't stand for, I think, God does know our, hearts and what, we truly want. But I think at the same time, I mean, he's gonna have a little bit of judgment on that. Yeah.
Interestingly, you said power. And did you know that actually in the Bible, we see that musicians were very instrumental in enforcing laws which go against God to restrict the freedoms of others?
I did not.
Okay, well, basically, the reason why this is brought up is because of the Bible. In the book of Daniel, chapter 3, we see that there is a king named King Nebuchadnezzar. He erected a golden image, and where everybody had to bow down and worship that golden image.
And he gathered captains to him, sheriffs, rulers, right? And also he had musicians. So when they played their music, everyone around was supposed to bow down and worship this false god. And the result was, if they didn't bow down, then they would be punished. They would be killed even. And so when we look at that account in the Bible, it actually applies to us today as well, showing us that in these last days, when we're seeing these movements where all around us we can see that our liberties are being restricted, and even the musicians now trying to get into politics are showing us that they're going to help to enforce laws which will restrict our freedoms, especially as Bible-believing Christians. What are your thoughts on that?
That's wild. I didn't know about that story or anything.
Wow. Now, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't personally recall that passage, but I am a Christian myself. And so, yeah, that's very interesting to hear that perspective. And yeah, the musicians are going to be the ones who influence the people who are in power, and that's going to change laws and, people's rights. And yeah, I think artists have a ton of influence, like I said in the beginning. And I think it's pretty crazy that it states so clearly in that passage that that's going to happen, and it is.
I agree with you. There's a lot of things that's happening that's making me realize like we are in the last days. A lot of things from Revelations are coming true. So I wouldn't put that past me, like, to see that actually happen.
Now that you put it like that, I can definitely see the correlation between the two. I just hope that if one day these musicians and celebrities that have a high platform do get into politics, I hope it's for the right reasons and they do the right thing and what needs to be done in today's society and country. But you never know until it actually happens, whether they're in it for the right reasons or not.
Yes, and to enlighten you more on that, I do have a gift for you here.
And I hope that you take a look at it. There's a chapter in there called Liberty of Conscience Threatened. And I promise this book will really open up your eyes, as it did mine. So I hope you enjoy. Any last comments?
No, 2020 resolution, read a little bit more. I got it right here. Thank you, guys.
Very interesting perspective from the young people. Now, Jenseny, why is this trend, this current event, so significant?
Well, we are told that musicians will play a central role in these last days, as stated in the book of Daniel, chapter 3. During the reign of the Babylonian Empire, King Nebuchadnezzar had set up an image, and the people were to bow down and worship the image. The politicians, the governors, they were gathered there on Mount Dora as they were to worship this image. But it wasn't until the sounding of the music, the influence of the musicians
Yes.
were used as a catalyst to lead the people to false worship. So it is in these last days, as we see more musicians are getting involved into politics, we can know that ancient history is bound to repeat itself today.
And it's very interesting because many of these artists and musicians, they care for many of the same issues that the citizens care for, such as, an end for gun violence, crime, better education system, better schooling system, and even caring for the environment, the common home. And we're told, friends, Bible prophesies that the Sunday law, the national Sunday law, yea, the mark of the beast crisis, will be that last crisis, just like it was in Daniel's time, that
Yes.
crisis of worship, right? When Sunday will be enforced as the law of the land. And the musicians were influential
Yes.
in being used as catalysts to usher in, to force the mind, force the conscience to worship falsely. So as we see it on the horizon, we need to be found ready.
That's
So,
right.
so what kind of admonition can we leave those who are viewing? What admonition should we as Christians take as we see these things transpiring?
Well, Jesus Christ, He is our example. He is the author and the finisher of our faith. And we must cast our vote on the side of Christ. When Jesus came up on this earth, He said, I must be about my Father's business, and my meat is to do the will of my Father and to finish His work. So it is, as the promise in Colossians chapter 3. If ye then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God. Set your affections on things above and not on things of the earth, for you are dead when your life is hid with Christ in God. So our life, our thoughts must be consumed in Christ Jesus. And just like He finished the Father's work, we must surrender our will to God, that we will be His witnesses in the last days to proclaim the everlasting gospel.
Amen, friends. So don't cast your lot. Don't vote for Democrat. Don't vote for Republican.
Yes.
Cast your vote on Jesus Christ. So
right.
with that said, friends, continue to stay prayerful, stay watchful as we see these events transpiring around us, showing the fulfillment of Bible prophecy. We will see you next time.